Attention, rock and rollers, scallywags, this is for you. I appreciate you listening to our show. It's been really splendid to watch as the show gains listeners. I hear from my friends and family and others that are listening in how much they love the show and all of this, the classy bits and gags, and our humor is really making it to an audience, hopefully you. And if you want to support what we're doing over here, some of the best ways then you could do that would be to subscribe to us on YouTube, to follow us on Instagram. On YouTube, we're at Live FT Lake, and on Instagram, we're at Live From the Lake Podcast. We also have a Facebook page, and we can be found at Spotify at Live From the Lake. But giving us the follows, the likes, the comments, sharing what you liked, and if you have any constructive criticism, that would be directed directly to me. But I really appreciate you listening so far, and hopefully you continue to listen and have a great rest of your day. Rock on. Or sail on. Whichever. Yeah.
All right. We are live from the lake. A weekly podcast where this amazing family of winners gets together and talks about music amongst many, many other things. We are so happy to be here with you today, and we're so thankful that you're here. My name is Jeremy.
I'm Jen.
I'm Mason.
They call me the hooligan.
The hooligan. We're glad you're here.
Hey,
Hooli.
anytime I can make a public appearance is a time I will consider making a public appearance.
Fair enough.
Let's
High standards over there, hooligan.
let's dive
Hooligan.
on in. I have to start the show today talking about Dickey Betts. Dickey Betts passed away today at the age of 80. Original founding member of the Allman Brothers band. An absolute Goliath amongst guitar slingers for the last very, very long time. I would call him as influential as guitar players get, and also as songwriters get. I mean, Dickey Betts wrote a lot of those Allman Brothers band songs.
Songs everyone knows.
Ramblin' Man, Jessica, in memory of Elizabeth Reed, Blue Sky,
Just a few little
the
ditties.
guy was
Couple.
a absolute stud, and he gets to go up and as the family said that they put something out on Instagram, and it was something about he gets to join the Winnebago and having touring around with Dwayne and Greg and many others, and playing music for those folks up there. What an absolute stud.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He's going to be missed.
Absolutely.
So I feel like that's something that we definitely need to we need a little
Acknowledge that.
moment of silence
Yeah.
for Dickey Betts.
Absolutely.
I did thankfully I got to see the Allman Brothers several times. I saw Dickey several times.
I think we should raise a glass.
Let's raise a glass to Dickey Betts, and send our love to
His family.
his family,
And all of their fans
his son
that are
Dwayne.
sad.
I love that he named his son Dwayne. That's so freaking awesome. After his good buddy Dwayne Allman, and that's that.
That's something.
I did. Speaking of the Allman Brothers band, I heard a story this week about them that was little nuts. This was when Greg was 18 and the draft was on.
Oh,
And Dwayne,
Do you know this?
no.
Do you?
no, but Mason
No,
made a reaction.
No,
that-
I'm just saying this is
Gonna be
set
good?
up circumstances.
And they I'm not sure which brother came up with the idea, but they decided that they were going to have a foot shooting party to
What?
to disqualify themselves from the draft.
Shut up. So did they shoot each other or themselves?
Dwayne was disqualified because he was the oldest son
Of the family.
of the family without a father.
Oh.
So
Gotcha.
that got you out.
Okay.
Okay.
So he was out, but Greg was not.
So
And
lucky
there was,
Greg.
There was a lot of drinking, and then I think there was some like
Like
maybe
legit.
we shouldn't do this like as
Oh.
the night was going on. And then finally one of them encouraged the other one. I'm not sure who. I don't know who was pushing who.
Like there was some real
but they
consideration.
finally they just called the ambulance.
And then shot him.
And then as soon as they could hear the ambulance coming,
They shot him.
They drew a target on Greg's shoe and they fucking shot him in the foot. And he got out.
I
Oh
mean,
my God.
hey,
Dude.
If it works.
And I believe that all took place like
That's rock and roll, baby.
hell yeah. But I think that took place like right before the formation of the Allman Brothers band.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
It would
Pretty
be
cool.
great.
Thank God
he-
they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. It would be great if he like had a permanent limp, and that was the story behind it or something.
Yeah, I wish
I
a
don't think
permanent
so.
limp on lots of people.
No,
It's like,
no, no,
you know,
no,
when I look
no.
at you,
I'm
I
just-
sometimes think, you know what would be great on Mason?
If you were a
A
gimp,
permanent limp.
peg leg Mason.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Come
That's
on,
not-
hop along. Let's
It
go.
would have done wonders for the legacy.
That
I
wasn't
don't
what I
disagree.
was thinking.
I know. You're not that evil of a soul. But yeah, no, I understand.
It's like, man, it's a real
Twisting
cool story you told me,
word.
but it would have been a lot cooler if you had a massive scar. Like,
Yeah.
like, what?
Would've been
Man,
rad.
it would have been a lot
He
cooler
should've-
if you had
he
to
should've-
lose the
He
eye.
should have never. He should have never ever put shoes back on, man. He should have been a flip flop dude from that point.
Oh yeah,
Forward.
no, something.
Six
Well,
toes down.
That scar, you know. Let me tell you about that scar.
Oh, just a hole in his foot permanently.
Ugh,
Goodness
gross.
gracious.
It'd be cool.
Not really.
No, not really, but
No function to that.
it would
is
be
there?
something to talk about. Conversation starter.
Could you make it useful?
Hey, how'd you get that hole in your foot?
Yeah.
Well,
How
gotta
do you
go
think?
back to 1969.
But is
The
there
war was on.
Is there any utility
Well, it's
to
gonna
having a
be.
hole in your foot? Could you, if you let it heal and you had a hole, what could you do that you couldn't normally do?
Well, think
I-
about a fireman. Like maybe a fireman fall off of the pole every once in a while. You could have a pole that you step through, and you could actually ride it all the way down with the stability of the foot surrounding. Did you understand?
But
what
then
I'm
how
saying?
do you get your
wouldn't
foot
hurt.
off?
Yeah,
No, no,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
there's a hole at the bottom too.
Oh, it's just a floating pole.
yeah,
it's just a floating pole.
Yeah.
You need a hook foot for that, I think.
Yeah, a hook
that's
foot
right.
would be better.
Hook foot
Ew.
zip line.
A hook foot?
hook
That's not
foot.
even real.
Yeah, just like, instead
Like
of
the
the hole in the
hand?
middle,
I like
the
that
hole's
we
a little
completely
offset, so
bypassed like
you know.
putting a hook on the end of a boot straight to hook foot.
Well, you were the one that was, really starting this, all right, Mace? You
Well,
were like,
Barefoot
I
for
wish
life.
there was a permanent
Yeah.
injury involved in this story. Like,
Too bad he didn't limp
it's a
around
shame.
forever
Yeah,
for that
yeah.
one.
It's a damn shame.
Man,
Yeah, I guess.
man. Hook foot.
Yeah,
Maybe
some
that's what
cyborg
Stinkfoot
shit.
was written about, the Zappa tune.
That's the condition that gets you out of the war.
I can't
No, the
stop
song was
thinking-
about Greg Allman.
Maybe that's why.
Just had this, his foot was just
Had
permanently
some
damaged.
funk
Some
about
rot
it.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
You got. I wonder what they do with that. Like, they must just put a plate or something in there. I mean, those are a lot of little bones. If you put a bullet through that, I don't know that they could just put that back together. And it was the 60s.
Not a doctor.
No clue. No idea.
Not a doctor.
That's a
Nah,
risky
the
choice.
60s.
Yeah.
It was
These are
the 60s.
These are the things that
It's
we're
surprising
glad.
they didn't pull out the hacksaw and just cut it off.
I'm not saying that, but I
Yeah,
mean,
maybe.
was
I
gonna
don't
say,
even know if they had plastic yet.
These are the things we're glad to not
think they
have
did.
to know what the answer
Yeah.
is. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
if you know the answer, it's because
Yeah.
you have gone through something where you have to know how feet heal from bullet holes.
No, let's not get all the way there.
I'm
We don't
happy I
have to
don't have
worry
to know.
about this.
Okay, I just want you to know that now 2 parts of this conversation are making me very drawn to Adventures in Babysitting. The hook foot made me think of the truck driver that's got the hook for the hand and the gun in the glove
Yeah.
compartment.
Yeah.
And the kid gets shot in the foot on the train.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Oh.
It's like we're
A lot
just
of foot related.
Now we just figured out the Kevin Bacon story of that girl and Dickey Betts.
there you go.
Perfect.
Or not
Yeah, I
Dickey
guess.
Betts, but
Miraculous.
Greg
sort of.
Allman.
Greg Allman. Close.
Back
Yeah.
to Dickey Betts.
Rest in power.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything you put into this world.
Beast.
A lot of songs. A lot of good songs.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
pioneer of the dual guitar harmony, inspiring bands like the Sheepdogs,
And Ween.
among many.
Ween has the song. It's called Dickey Betts, isn't it?
I think it's a Dean Ween song.
It is called
yeah.
Dickey Betts.
Called Dickey
You're right.
Betts.
It's a
It's
Dean
so
Ween song.
good.
Yeah,
It's hilarious.
underhanded.
He like nailed it.
Totally, yeah. Totally ripped
I
it off.
remember the first time we heard it, and you were like,
Oh my
"Wait,
God.
is this what song is this?" And then we looked, and you were like, "Oh my God, I thought it was like a
It's-
weird Allman Brothers song that I couldn't place."
Yeah.
Nope.
No, he just nailed all.
Nope.
He nailed
Gotcha.
the style and the kind of
The
everything.
whole flavor of
the
it.
structure. Yeah, it was so freaking funny. You get it.
Chuck Testa.
Everybody should listen to that. Yeah.
Everybody should
Got
listen to
you.
that for sure.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
It is
Okay.
great.
Other big news this week: the DOJ
Yeah.
finally.
So, yeah, and this is
Well, also DOJ.
Oh,
Dude, Barstool put something out on OJ that
hooligan
Stands
coming
for
through.
Dead OJ.
I
hooligan.
understood.
Yeah, we got
I
that.
picked
part.
up on that.
Thanks, Ace.
But I'm telling you, I saw something that Barstool put out that said that his kids that went to see him on his deathbed were forced to sign
NDAs.
an NDA.
Yeah.
Why would you need an NDA to go and see your father on his deathbed?
Oh, so
Honestly-
he can confess all of his sins to you before he dies and feel better about
I'm going to
himself?
tell you where the money's buried.
That is so odd.
I did
so
it.
odd.
The
And
gloves did fit.
Honestly, that's so weird. It makes
crazy.
you
It's-
like
yeah.
the only explanation for that I can come up with is that he had to tell them something that he didn't want them going to anybody else with. And
Yeah.
if he wanted to tell them something that it just opens up that whole can of worms.
You can leap
Really
to
weird.
conclusions.
I don't know.
Really weird. I
Gnarly.
saw something about that. It was like the 90s. They're like OJ's in the news. Conan is on
All over
fire
the
this
place. Yep,
week.
yep.
Yeah, and there was a third one. I don't remember what it was, but it's like this is the 90s. it's hey OJ. Interesting that under normal circumstances when somebody passes away, people refrain from talking shit about said person, but
Not
not
happening for the
OJ.
OJ situation.
No, I've seen the number of times I saw the
juice
meme-
has expired.
Well, the meme of him being like, "Oh, I don't live in LA anymore because I'm afraid I'm gonna run into the guy that actually did it."
Right.
Oh Lord.
His Bronco, I heard, is going up on the auction block.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, somebody's gonna pay a lot of coin.
Oh,
for
yeah.
that thing.
Dude, honestly, though,
I bet
that's
you
like,
that thing goes for $2 million.
I have no idea.
Somebody
but
with just
that's like
way
an
too much money
iconic
is gonna be like,
car
"Dude,
from
I
the
want-"
90s.
That's
for
When
crazy.
sure.
you walk into his garage, he's gonna be like, "Yeah, you see that white Bronco over there?
OJ.
That's the white Bronco."
Say OJ.
That's OJ's white Bronco.
Oh, is it an homage to the juice? No.
No,
No,
Nope, it
it's
is the juice.
It's from the master himself.
that's his. That's
Yeah.
his.
140 yards per game
That
in
happened here.
1970 something.
Right?
This is what
OJ?
Or was that in L.A.? Was the
Well,
The chase
Bronco
was in
L.A.,
LA, right?
Oh, the
and then he
Bronco
went
was
to
in
the
LA, and then he
airport
flew
and
here.
flew to that. Okay,
flew
so
here to
people that aren't
Chicago.
from Chicago, just for reference, he flew into Chicago and then proceeded to go to the shittiest airport. He passed 5 nice airports to get to this shitty tiny little airport right off the highway. It was the most bizarre thing ever. It was so weird.
He
Yeah.
stayed at the
The Holiday Inn.
no, the Howard
It was a Howard
Johnson.
Johnson then, yes.
Yeah, no, the Bronco that
Hojo.
let the juice loose is gonna be
That's a moneymaker.
that's gonna go for
I
a
wonder what
pretty
the people
penny, I
that
would
bought
bet.
it for originally paid for it. And how on earth did you even get your hands on
Or
that?
is it just in storage?
Or is it just still OJ's? It's
Is it-
No,
probably-
no,
did it-
somebody
or
else
is-
owns it
was it
and is putting
impounded?
it up for sale.
Yeah, I would bet it was auctioned off after it was taken in as
Yeah.
evidence or something. I have no idea how that works.
I don't know either. I just know that it's probably going to capture some big coin. He also died owing $100 million to the families of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. Very crazy.
Yeah. What an interesting one. He should have. He should have just admitted it, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Oh.
last minute, you
Why
got nothing
not?
to hold
Be
back.
like, yeah,
totally.
I did it. I guess it's like admitting you're a bad guy, right? But, but
He was never.
so be it. I mean,
I mean, everybody
stories that
thinks
people
you
were
did it
covering shit up
already.
for him when he was in college.
Yeah.
That he had, I think he went to
I was-
USC. that he. Were you telling
I
me
was
that?
telling you about it because he met. That's where he met Rob Kardashian. He was a
Rob
law
Kardashian
student,
was like the ball boy or something for the team.
and yeah, they met at USC, and there was some like.
But then he was there for like a year and got in trouble with like 3 different girls, and there
Blonde
was all sorts
girls
of bad
with
problems,
abuse and
whatever.
like aggressive
Hey, look,
behaviors.
cool.
I don't claim to know anything about this stuff. I wasn't there, but
Well,
I
you know
mean,
what?
when it looks like, it would. Yeah.
It is
Okay,
what it is.
so-
If the glove fits.
F-
Rest in
FYI.
less power, Juice.
The Bronco-
Dickey gets the power. Rest in less power, Juice.
Right.
He was in a TV show called First and 10. It was like a football like comedy. It had like that big burly dude that was in like Revenge of the Nerds. That,
Oh, yeah.
The
Okay.
big, he was like an ex. He was probably a guy that he was kind of famous in the 80s and early 90s. He was like the big, like roided out football player guy that was just like meathead, like and he was in it First and 10. It was on HBO. It was kind of a fun show.
Totally don't remember that, but
Yeah.
I don't.
OJ
love
was
football.
like sideline reporting sometimes football games. Like he was very.
Oh, he was like the
out.
color reporter for games for a while.
Yeah, well, he was like the sideline guys, but it doesn't matter. He was like around, and then all the it was so weird. That was a crazy scene. And I was at a Fish show that when that thing was going down, and Fish up in Milwaukee, and Fish,
Affectionately known as the OJ show.
it was the coolest thing ever. They were like referencing what was going on. Like they had TVs. There was no cell phones. Like there was no way that we would have known what was going
Long
on.
ago in 1994.
That was, I think,
Yeah.
93. Was it 94?
No, I think it
94.
was 94.
Okay. But yeah, they were referencing, what do you say, OJ? Like the whole show, there was
Run,
OJ
OJ,
references.
run.
Yeah. And then we found out literally like the next, we had no idea what the hell they were doing. And then the next day we figured it out.
Yeah.
Ended up being like an epic Fish show that everybody
Knows.
knows and loves as one of the great ones. It was a great one.
I was not there.
A lot.
It was about 300 degrees, and they played Harpua, and it was amazing.
It was kind of legit, man.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Kind of one of the legit
Throwing down
shows,
his
you
1.0
know?
street creds.
It was kind of neat.
That's
Well,
pretty neat.
I didn't mean to massively derail Mom's original topic of conversation, which was the DOJ, and
That's a big
I
deal.
think that it's
Yeah,
important
let's
we
get
do
back to
talk
that.
about that. Not to, we gave OJ his time.
More than he deserved,
He
probably.
had his time, but yeah. What do you want to crack the case wide open for us?
I mean, I can tell. I
Yeah.
can tell you very high level what's going on, which is that the Wall Street Journal, I believe, was the first to report it.
Yes.
The Department of Justice is filing is expected to file an antitrust lawsuit against Live Nation in the coming weeks. And the idea, dude, that is so awesome.
Noah, can you cue in some like applause?
Yeah, like that's just
massive
big.
crowds
Totally.
cheering because that's what's happening in my head.
And I think ultimately the idea behind this, right, is that they're a monopoly, and that I mean, and when you get down to it,
Well,
they own the ticket sales. They're selling secondhand seats on their own platform, and
Yep.
it's actually hard to know. I mean, we buy tickets. We see a lot of shows, so we buy a lot of tickets, and I'm on there all the time. But if you don't know what you're looking for, this happened the first time when I bought Greta Van Fleet tickets to the Aragon.
Yeah.
I went on at 10:02, and the tickets went on sale at 10 o'clock, and the tickets were like $100 a piece, and it was like this was the first thing this
was years ago.
Greta Van Fleet was not.
It was like
really,
2018.
They were playing the Aragon, which was a sizable venue.
I think
but
it was like 2018.
it was the first record, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like $100? I was expecting them to be like 50." And then I looked closer, and I figured out they were selling me platinum seats, which are basically they're reselling the tickets themselves through the app, but they're not like asking you if you want to see
secondhand seats.
No, they just offer that only.
seats from the
Exactly.
secondary market. They just were offering it as
What was
it was like
available.
what was next, and so I almost bought them, but to be honest, I had to buy I think we all went to that show. I think I bought 5 or 6 tickets.
I think
and I was like,
it was
geez, and
4 of us,
I didn't
yeah.
want to do it, and then I paused for a second, and then in that second they had announced a second show, and I pounced on those and got those tickets for $50 or $55.
Yeah,
But
I
that was
think it
before you knew what they were doing.
Well, I didn't know what they were doing,
Yeah.
and I have since figured it out.
Well, and the big thing is, like, for everybody that doesn't know, is the venues, because Live Nation owns the venues, and
A lot of them.
or not all of the venues, but they own a lot of the venues,
Like a real lot of them.
of the bigger venues, like whatever. They own a ton of them, which means that they're getting money off of all of the beer sales and all of that stuff too, and your parking and whatever, yada yada, for the actual day of the concert. But not only do they own the venue, they also own Ticketmaster, which is where most of
Which is the other source of ticket
where
sales. So they're
where
marking up-
if somebody's going to play
I have
at
the
their
numbers.
venue, the tickets are going to be sold on Ticketmaster, so they're making all of the money.
And that's so okay. Not only are they screwing the people that want to go see the music, but the band isn't getting that money either.
Well, that's the whole bottom line to it, right? Like it
No one's buying records
thing is
anymore,
what-
and they're gouging them at venues. Like, where are they supposed to make any money?
Well,
It's-
step
yeah.
through the process, right? So it starts off tickets. Bands were selling records and making records. The musicians are the ones that are just constantly getting screwed in this, right? So you had the labels. The labels were constantly taking advantage of the musicians. Touring was secondary income, and touring was really just done to promote the records so that people would go out and buy records, because that's where they were making their money. Now the record industry, Napster comes along, and then you've got Spotify, and you've got
Apple Music,
and
and
you've got YouTube, and you've got all these additional streaming services that are paying them a lot less than they were making when they were making their own records, or when they were making records through a label who would do the distribution, and they would promote the
Marketing,
records too,
right.
And then you'd go out and hit the road, and that was like secondary income. It wasn't that important. Now the touring is like the primary source of income, and believe it or not, merch has become more expensive. Yes, it has become more expensive,
but
it's
more-
become more important than
Yeah.
it's ever been before.
It's their most lucrative resource at this point.
Well, I don't know if it's.
Well-
I don't think that.
Well,
I
they're getting
definitely
all
don't
of the
know
money from it, besides like the $1,000 overhead fee
they're
that they've
making
got
a
to
lot
pay
of money
to
for it. But
sell
then,
merch
but
in
then,
the first place.
But the point is that the entire kind of trail to dollars has been changed, right? And then simultaneously, as the records and making money off the records starts to decline, making money on the tour starts to increase, and then the ticket sales are then like monopolized by companies like Live Nation and Ticketmaster. And then but what actually predicated that was the secondary market with all the scalpers, right? So like I'm buying, this has been around forever too, where it's like you have people out there whose business is they buy as many
as they
tickets
could
as
get.
they can to big shows, and then they sell them at a profit.
Yeah.
Well, Ticketmaster didn't like that, so they kind of figured out a way to get in on the action, and ultimately, what's happening is it is not uncommon for us to buy tickets, and I hate to say I contribute to this, but I do for shows that I really want to go to. If I couldn't get tickets when the general on sale went or when the lottery went, which happens all the time, like you get negged in the lottery more than you score. Especially if you're like us, and we are a little snobby with regards to, we like to have good seats. We like to sit where we like to sit. And that is something that...
And we do push for cash or trade as often as possible,
course.
but everybody's looking for tickets, and
And
nobody
sometimes
wants
it's
to
just-
pay Live Nation prices if they don't have to, so it's not easy
or
to get them.
StubHub or Vivid Seats
Right.
or any of the others. But those services are, I mean, if you just do simple math, it's like, there's like a $40 service fee on every freaking transaction. That's probably more. I would have to get some people that know more about this than I do, but that alone is probably more than the band is making per ticket. Especially when the original ticket is being sold for $60 and we're paying $150 for it. The band's getting their piece of that $50. Ticketmaster and Live Nation are getting their piece of that $50. The venue, if it's not owned by Ticketmaster and Live Nation, are getting their piece of that $50. it's just
But that service fee is going straight into the Ticketmaster pocket or the live
the
music
And
reality
pocket.
it's
is
each time it gets sold.
the
too.
reality is
Right.
the fans are willing to pay more than the general on sale typically, but in my opinion, that money should be going to the acts. They should be going to the people that are filling those places up and selling all the beer that is being sold, and so on and so forth. And now, recently, which one of you told me about the merch thing?
Oh yeah, we've talked about that on the show already. There's been
did?
with Ticketmaster specifically, there have been agreements that have been made public because I think actually one of the people
It was
might
Lawrence,
have been
maybe.
Lawrence, yeah, and
And
I
they were
think
saying they
Wolfpack was complaining
demanded
about it too. But
either an upfront cost or a piece of the merch.
well, what it's turned into is multiple
just
bands
claws,
have come
man.
out on their social
Live
media
Nation
and basically
venues. Yeah, I've heard that.
a lot of. Go ahead.
Sorry, nothing. You're good.
A lot of bands have made posts on social media, essentially, basically before going out on tour. They'll say, "Hey, you'll notice that the prices of the T-shirts and the hoodies and the trinkets and all the stuff
Are
is a
higher.
lot higher in the venues. But understand that our
margin's the
they're being
same."
upfront and saying we're making the same whether you buy it in the venue or if you buy it online in our store. We're just trying to make this, make it
yeah.
profitable,
Amicable, right.
and they have to. Each venue's requesting a percentage, which is just like, it's almost like it's like poking the last possible.
It's kicking.
You know.
It's kicking someone when they're down is what it is. And the thing is, we all know and we talk about here like bands that are like fucking awesome and are making some money and figuring out a way in spite of all of these negative concepts that we're discussing here. They're figuring out ways to make money. Streaming is another great way that there's some money to be made. And by the way, something that helped, that COVID, as awful as that was, actually did help that in a big way.
Oh, for sure.
Nugs is much bigger than it was prior to that. Fans does their streams here and there. And bands are independently streaming their shows on YouTube and such. And a lot of times there's a paywall there and there's an opportunity for them to kind of expand their presence and their reach, which is great. But it's just unbelievable to me. The band. So where I was going with that though is, a lot of our energy. There's a lot of bands out there that we don't know who they are because they can't break through. There's good bands, good small young bands that are small and are just having a difficult time breaking through and getting 1 million Spotify users so that they can make however many dollars that we were talking about. That I think it's 5,000 or 7,000 depending on which streaming service you're on. Like that's a lot of streams, and it's hard out there. I guess that's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry, it's $5,000.
We talked about this already
Okay.
on the podcast.
But
I think
so
it's $5,000 for 1 million on Spotify or no, 5,000 on Spotify, 7,000 on Apple or in
Something
that
like that,
vicinity.
yeah.
Wow. Well,
The point is it's hard to break through, and if you can't break through, it's hard to keep the band going. Right? It's
Right.
hard to do that because it's like, I'm
how long can you
I'm
sacrifice
still
everything for?
right. I'm still driving this shitty car, and I'm still living at home, or I'm still doing this, or I'm still doing that, and I need to make it at least a little, and it's just hard.
This kind of sounds like a nice opportunity for a bit of a call to action, because I don't want to make anyone here feel guilty, but I sometimes feel guilty about how little I truly squeeze all the juice out of being able to access all of these cool artists. And how much of the time that you spend listening to music are you spending, dear listener and my fellow hosts, exploring the artists that are smaller? I found a playlist that's very cool. There are probably many that are like it, it's called Songs Under 1,000 Listens, and it updates every week for a whole new 20 or
that's
30
fun.
songs that haven't been listened to very much. Things like that, I think, are the big, asset that I think as a listener base, people could tap into when they have the access to streaming, You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do
no,
your
for
part.
sure.
Listen to local acts.
I
listen
think
to
that
tiny
that's
bands.
I think that's a great
Yeah.
idea, and I think that the problem with that is that it takes resources. So you're saying, what's the name of the playlist that you're talking about?
I think it's
Songs
just called,
Under
it's
1,000.
on Spotify. I think it's called
Yeah,
Songs
cool.
Under 1,000
I'll check that
Listens
out.
or something.
That's
But
very
somebody
cool.
needs to curate that, and that's somebody. If that's what they're doing, is they're scouring the interweb and finding these bands. Like somebody needs to do that, and they need to get paid too,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So it's tough. I believe that I spend more time searching for new bands and new music than the average person.
Sure.
But I also
By like 100%.
but
Yeah,
I
probably.
also do it through I would like there to be a cooler resource or a cooler way for me to do it. I do it by a lot of lookalike algorithms and stuff
Sure.
like that. Like
Sure.
I like this band, so what else is out there?
Bands
And
also like or whatever.
yeah, I think that's been a way that I've done it, or that I do it, and it would be cool if there was another way to do it. But we have to. Hey, listen, just try and buy from the lottery,
Totally.
buy your merch from the store of the band, and hopefully the Department of Justice gets somewhere. Honestly, they will. It's going to be a pittance of what it's not,
Right. It's not going to really.
and then ultimately there's going to be two different companies. One is called Ticketmaster and one is Live Nation.
Mm-hmm.
They'll both be
Awful.
continuing with the same practices that they're continuing. They just won't be under the same ownership structure.
Yeah. It is like totally the textbook. Like if you think about what in today's economy, what industry is the most monopolized? Like you
That.
could argue social media, totally, because of its own thing. But
Well, it's
like
there's also only like how many social media platforms are there? I mean,
right.
that
I mean,
are
you-
relevant
right.
and actually being
of course,
used.
and you could have argued
Yeah.
100 years ago that newspapers are monopolized for the same reason.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's like-
but in terms of like actual market ownership of physical assets and
I
an
have the
industry,
numbers. I looked it
it's
up.
crazy. Yeah.
Out of 88 of the top grossing amphitheaters in the country, Live
It's like
Nation owns 56,
Yeah.
which puts them at 64% of all of them.
Wow.
That ain't right.
Yeah, I did a
honestly
project
though,
on
like
this
I have
in
less
high
of an
school.
issue with that than I do with the ticketing bullshit. Like you cannot buy tickets. Like
Well, they shouldn't be allowed to own both.
And you know who did us the biggest favor ever to like expose that and shine a light on it is T Swizzle, Taylor Swift, who I saw was at Coachella this weekend, literally on the rail with a hat and a drink and
Good for her.
her boyfriend, like just jamming to some bands. Like
That's
that was
awesome.
pretty cool.
That's cool.
Anyway,
She
that
prefers
tour-
T-Slizzle.
What is it?
She
Slizzle?
prefers T-Slizzle.
Not Swizzle.
Oh,
Taylor
Swizzle. Whatever
Swift.
you said. I don't know.
Swizz.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Swizzy?
That's what some. I don't know why I call her that, but
We always
No, she
call her
prefers
that.
it T-Swizzy.
Anyway, she shined a big fat spotlight on this issue because that tour hit Ticketmaster. No one was getting tickets. People were paying like 16
Sick amounts
grand
of
for
money.
like $300 tickets.
Poor-
She was like, "What the
Horrible.
hell is
Insane.
going on?"
Gross.
Absolutely insane. But you can't get tickets. You just can't do it. Like you can't get tickets. It's so hard. It's
crazy.
Even if you do everything the way. I mean, and this goes back, man. I'll never forget the one great example I have was the tray with the Grateful Dead 50 thing. Fare Thee Well.
Yeah, at Soldier
Where
Field.
we had between our family and my sister's family and my dad, we had I think 16
Devices.
going trying to score tickets to this thing, and none of
Not
us
one.
scored. Not one ticket was bought.
It was so depressing.
It was really depressing.
And
But
we were all excited. We were on speakerphone with
Yeah.
everybody, and we were
Oh, it was
like,
fun to
know,
try and buy them.
totally getting into it.
But
You
very
were at school
disappointing.
trying to do it, right?
very
Yeah,
disappointing.
Were you at home?
It was
It was
disappointing.
2015. He hadn't graduated from high school
Oh.
yet.
All
Oh,
right,
yeah,
sorry,
well,
my
but-
bad.
Time. Anyway, I hope that something good comes out of this. To be honest, I think that Ticketmaster and Live Nation are a problem. I think that StubHub and Vivid, honestly,
Not so great.
they built a piece of technology that is, evergreen, earning them $40 per transaction. That's just freaking nuts.
Yeah.
On an average ticket of like 100, like it's like nuts. It's like a 40%
so gross.
margin. It's crazy. Anyhow,
Yeah, the whole thing could
that
be
thing is a
restructured.
thing that needs some attention too. And ultimately, let's get more of the money back into the band's hands. And the way that we do that, I mean, there's been some good proponents of this. Pearl Jam has tried really hard. Goose is now, I think they're trying. Like they did
lottery
the cap
system.
shows. It was all lottery. The problem with the lottery that I saw was that it was through Ticketmaster, which is like
You're still
using
them.
Ticketmaster to
Right.
get the tickets to the. So that means you're giving up some margin. Maybe it's they're not giving up as much, and they're capable of selling these tickets on their own, and they don't need their own promotion, and there should be a value to that. So maybe that's a way. I don't know, but this is an issue that we should all be paying attention
Totally.
to.
And we should be excited about
For
this.
sure. Yeah, no, there's
Hopefully they
definitely
do
some good
something
things
that's
can come off
actually
of it.
like, impactful.
Yeah, hopefully some good comes out of it, right?
Hopefully we can tell there's a difference
Yeah,
when
I
this is
mean,
over, because
we
a lot
won't.
of times,
We
No,
won't, guys. I hate
no,
to say it.
definitely not.
everything will
But-
be $5 cheaper.
Honestly, like those guys are those people are
Yeah, they're not.
They're
nice
not generous.
yeah, no, and they're also really, really rich.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
gosh,
already
yeah.
really,
everybody,
really rich, and they
everybody's
keep-
seen the CEO's house. I think
Yeah,
It's
no,
like,
it's
it's like
Well, also, no offense, but he looks like he's 12. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like he's like
He's not
some like
12.
old man that's been working
it's
forever.
like 4 city blocks.
there is some of that too. But the CEO is he's in his 30s and
Yeah, he's like
making,
37.
an
It's
insane
gross.
amount of money.
Yeah,
It's
something.
crazy and
Yeah.
taking advantage of it. And while we have artists that aren't getting their fair share.
Yeah, they're getting 40%
when they
of
need it,
They're
their own
pitching.
when they
ticket
need
sales.
it now more than
like,
any.
Come on.
Right.
When they need it now more than they ever have. So, good
Yeah.
step forward. Good step in the right direction. Very, very, positive. I hope that good things come.
Very neat.
That's
Yeah,
what I got
I would
to
say that that's probably
Cool.
a good
cool.
statement.
Yeah.
All right.
It's nice to have hope in our government.
All
Oh, yeah,
encapsulating.
I have all the faith in the world that the government's gonna make it.
Oh, yeah,
everything
no, the
right
government's
again.
going to do it.
It's going to be so great.
I have a new segment idea, and I haven't run the name past you yet, but I'm thinking that we could call it.
Is it called the Great Northern?
Just let him.
No, but that would be a good one.
Just
Is
let
that the
let the
Twin
boy
Peaks? What's the
speak.
name of the hotel in
The
Yeah,
Twin
the
hotel in
Great
Twin
Northern
Peaks,
Lodge.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
called the Great Northern Lodge?
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh,
The
I
Great
thought this was
Northern
in
Hotel.
reference to the fish you caught this week.
Yeah, I caught it.
It was a Great Northern.
It was a Great Northern.
It was a great northern.
No, okay, so
Ghostwood.
I'm imagining that this could be called the Live Venue Lighthouse, where we shine a light on all the unique places in which shows of all kinds have been performed throughout time. And
Okay.
this is not a fucking game, all right? This is just
Well, then light me up, bad
This is like
boy.
This
is
is gonna
this a
be-
term paper?
this is going to be
This is
a
her-
quick highlight of some of the magical places in the world where you could see shows.
Okay.
And so coming up for our first edition of the Live Venue Lighthouse, how do you feel about it?
Like it?
Yeah, light me up, baby.
It's a lighthouse of sound. That's right. No, so
Well,
we're just-
no, it sounds like a beam,
Hey,
Dad. It's
All right,
like,
let's go. Hit it.
All right, so for the first edition, we are going to take a little trip.
Do we have to guess, or this is
No,
just
it's-
a,
he
you're
said
gonna
it's
just-
not
not
a
a game,
game.
Okay,
Dad.
No game.
All
This
right,
is just
cool.
information for you to receive. all
Okay,
right?
cool. Let's hear
But I
it.
think it'll be
I'm the one
insightful,
that
and I'm going
gives
to
out
make it a little
points
bit
here.
rapid fire.
Yeah.
So we're
Okay.
not spending 10 minutes on it.
No.
okay?
All right.
Today's highlight is on the Walnut Street Theater in
Okay.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Philly.
Okay.
It is, to my knowledge, the oldest continuously run theater in the United States.
Wow.
Really?
It has been open since 1808.
Whoa.
It
That's
originally
awesome.
opened as it was called like the Circus Place, I think, or something. It was a circus originally. It was
Appropriate.
hosted inside,
fair.
and
Wow.
it was a theatrical venue of many a show featuring all kinds of stars of
Many
of
a
music
show.
and
Myriad.
acting varieties, including
Myriad
Jane
of
Fonda,
entertainment value.
Jane Fonda?
Ethel Barrymore, one of the Barrymores.
Did Richard Simmons do a live exercise
wouldn't be surprised.
show there or something?
I wouldn't
like
be
that?
surprised. And for the record, I get all these fun factoids.
How about Charlie Chaplin?
I'll go down my list, but
Okay.
no, not
Is
that
that
it was
where-
marked here.
Is
No
that where
Chaplin.
Bob Dylan got annoyed and just played his record?
That was it. No, that was at McGall Hall.
I know,
at
I think
just
that
Northwest
if you
giving
keep
him
guessing
jokes.
if it was the venue, there are a lot more
I'm
venues
just giving
than
him
there-
jokes.
I think we're just used to games.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm
There is a
sorry.
competitive
it's not-
spirit about
It kind of
us.
feels like I maybe made this segment just so I could talk for a
No,
few
I
minutes.
haven't been
And
to school in a long time.
I don't feel like that's actually my intention. That
Are
wasn't.
we
no.
supposed to be
Going into
taking
it.
notes?
No,
but-
I've just
but-
been trained to
but
expect a
I
test
have,
at the end of
I have
this.
an expectation of myself that I can keep this brief, and it's being interrupted.
It's
I'm so
interrupted.
sorry that
Yeah.
that's
Okay, keep going.
happening.
Keep
It's
going.
my fault.
Okay, so the rundown of the famous people that have made performances there.
Yeah.
Right? We said Jane Fonda, Ethel Barrymore, the Marx Brothers
Oh.
went from their vaudeville days to their first theatrical show was in this theater. Henry Fonda, along with Jane, he was in
Jane's dad.
Mr. Roberts. But both of them I think he made his debut there. It was a place where a lot of times Broadway shows would go before making their Broadway debut.
Practice. We practice in Philly, then we go to New York
yeah.
City.
But they practiced a Streetcar Named Desire when Marlon Brando was in that show before it went to Broadway.
Brando.
They did that in Philly. Audrey Hepburn, Sidney Poitier, Samuel L. Jackson was in some shows when he was younger there.
Oh.
Very cool stuff.
The conga tuner. Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando, the
The
conga
conga
tuning
tuner.
mechanism designer.
Yeah.
Or bongo
Patent
tuner.
maker.
Yeah, very cool.
Samuel L.
There was
Jackson.
a very strange little occurrence, which is 2 years prior to the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. This theater, the
John
Walnut
Wilkes-
Street Theater,
John Wilkes
was
Booth?
purchased by Edwin Booth,
Oh, his
the
brother.
of
Oh,
John Wilkes,
shit.
and he continued to own it after.
So John had
the
somewhere to
assassination, too.
practice.
Okay.
I would think that ticket sales would be declining after
I would
John,
imagine
his
so.
brother killed the freaking president.
Yeah.
If he's a
Oh, yeah.
theater owner.
Crazy. So
Oh my
those are the
God.
sort of like star-studded cast that we're talking about. And of course, a historic venue that's been around for hundreds of years. Over the decades, tons and tons
The
of bands
Walnut
and
Room?
other groups.
How big is the- how
Walnut
big is
Street
the room?
theater?
Walnut Street
I mean,
Theater.
like not.
Like
It's a theater.
Like
It's
1,500, 2,000.
Yeah, maybe 2,000, 20
Like
something.
a little Chicago
2,200.
theater-ish.
Yeah,
That's
maybe,
awesome.
probably smaller than the Chicago Theater
Yeah.
too. Thomas Jefferson went and saw one of the shows that debuted there back in the day while he was president, like stuff like that. 1809, right? It opened in
Wow.
1809.
That's
So
awesome.
Crazy.
18. It's
And then
Wow.
I've got like three
Good
more
security.
highlight moments,
Right,
right?
let's hear 'em.
So these are all the firsts. This venue, I know
Oh,
we've,
it's
we've
tiny.
talked about, Dad's High School was the
1,054
first.
is the capacity.
1,000. All right,
Yeah, it's
sweet.
tiny.
This was the first venue to host it was the venue that hosted the first presidential debate in
Oh.
history.
Which president?
It was 1976, so that was
How come every fucking
Gerald
week we start
Ford-
talking about presidents?
Nixon.
Ford was it Nixon maybe? I don't know. 76.
I was gonna say I know some
Um,
stuff about the Wilkes
It was
Booth
the
brothers.
first. It was the first theater that used gas-powered lighting,
Nice.
which turned into be a big problem. A lot of theaters from this era had
Caught on
fires
fire.
because they were using very intense lighting for the era. This venue has never been subject to any serious damage due to fire, thank goodness,
Wow.
in its whole time there. First theater with air conditioning in it.
Wow.
And it was the origin for the concept of the curtain call at the end of a show. The cast coming out and giving a bow after the curtain was a tradition, or
Cool.
little thing that started there from one actor in the early 1800s.
Seems appropriate that the first theater
Oh, yeah,
should be the one
totally.
to introduce
Well, it
the
wasn't-
curtain
it
call.
wasn't
Sounds
first
like
theater.
the
It's
Nutria
the
High
one that's
School
the
of
oldest
Theaters
that
is
still
what it
lives,
sounds like to me.
Oh,
Totally.
Lord.
It was one of the last theaters. It is to this day one of the last. They call it hemp houses, which I thought was a funny
What
term.
does that mean?
Do you want to take a guess? We can make this a game. What's a hemp house, Mason?
Mason, our resident hemp expert. What is it? All the ropes are made of hemp,
hemp house.
It has
No.
something to do with the rope.
and the curtains. All the textiles are hemp.
Curtains.
Yeah,
burlap.
the seat cushions, they're made out of hemp.
Potato sacks.
Was it?
Could you
was
smoke
it
there?
on a hemp field?
No, the term hemp house.
Like what-
Yeah, wait,
like was
wait,
it-
wait,
yeah,
It
hold
was
on.
it-
built on a hemp field.
No, was it like
So
near
therefore,
a
it's
hemp
a hemp
field?
house.
There are still houses, meaning like theatrical houses that are considered hemp houses, and what that means is that they're still following the original rigging protocols of using rope, pulleys, and sandbags on a grid in the ceiling to hoist all of their.
So if
stuff.
it's still using the sandbag and rope
method.
it's
I thought you
considered
were
a
asking
hemp
me-
house
They are
because the rope at that time was all made of hemp.
Right.
Because hemp grows like a weed,
Right.
and is a very good resource
and for the record, the rope is now switched over to nylon ropes, safer to do that. But yeah, and then
I thought you were asking me for like,
Weak sauce.
like in
For safety.
no,
Safety.
in relation to that specific theater.
yeah, the Walnut Street Theater in Philadelphia.
originally built on a hemp field.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally, man. Yep. Mhm.
You got a point to flesh out?
I misunderstood the question. That's all I'm trying to
Oh,
say.
it was called a
It
hemp
counts
house.
against you.
That
You
was-
lose
yeah,
5
okay.
points.
Yeah, I know. But I thought you were saying why, and I thought that you were saying that there was a reason it was called a hemp house.
Yeah, that's a term
That
that,
was-
they used, and it's a term that I described it. It's okay.
I thought you were
didn't
saying
guess
that it originated
a
there
setup
for some
failure.
reason.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Good
and then,
one.
And then I got just the last closer. This one really threw me. And
Cinches
that's why I
it?
set it up as the closer. All right.
Okay.
Which is a quick story of a fellow who worked there for his entire life. This is the story of John Reed. His nickname was Pop.
Jr.
John Pop Reed.
Okay,
So
Pop. What did you?
Pop was a stagehand.
Let's not call
at
him Pop.
Okay, well that was his nickname.
All right, let's.
We'll
But
call him John.
Johnny Pops was
Popster.
he was a stagehand at this venue in the 1800s.
Yeah.
For over 50 years.
Oh, he's probably
Lifelong.
useless at the end of his run.
Sandbag's got a
Hey,
little
can you
heavy.
push his gear out? He's like, nope.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it's
can
funny you
watch.
mentioned
Tell you
the
where
end
to
of his
push
run
it. Yeah.
because he offered up a little gift posthumously, which is that he stipulated in his will
He wanted to be a sandbag.
he was to have his head detached from his body and his skull cleaned to be used as a prop for the skull in the play Hamlet. And it collected dozens and dozens of signatures from any theater, any actor who came through the theater and played in a Shakespeare
Signed
play
it?
would sign the skull afterwards. There are pictures of it.
So it's like the thespian Stanley Cup.
kind of.
I want to be a Hamlet skull, baby.
What did Stanley lose that turned into that thing?
Well,
That-
you know,
Of
it's
Oh
you
my
know,
gosh.
man.
But
you
yeah,
know.
lots of history
Wow.
at the Walnut
Whoa.
Street
It's a
Theater.
zinger,
You would
Noah.
have guessed that there would be a lot of history.
yeah.
It's over
Look at you,
200 years old,
hooligan.
but-
So we're learning something. I'm going to call my friends in Philly and see if they've been to
Who
the.
let the hooligans
Oh,
loose,
I,
man?
I forgot one real quick. The only band, this all came from their website. The Walnut Street Theater hosts their own website. They have their own little trivia section.
Way to go,
Yeah.
guys.
The only band they mentioned performing there, which I'm sure there have been more, is in 1979. The Clash came to town, and you could have seen them in a room that was 1,000 people strong in Philadelphia.
PA.
So I don't know what year it
Cool.
was. Very good, Noah. What's it called?
Lighthouse
Live
venues.
venue Lighthouse.
Live venue Lighthouse. It was very good.
you think?
I,
Light it
I
up,
have. I
babe.
think it was really good. The name is really long. We should have like a bring. The more you know, kind of a thing. It was really good, and I'm thankful that you did it. And I actually encourage you to do one on Red Rocks. I know that sounds like kind of dumb.
Okay.
But I have been to the Red
Now
Rocks.
who's got homework?
I have been to the
Red
Red
Rocks is
Rocks.
dope.
I'm not saying anytime soon, but just at some point.
Oh, I'm sure we'll get to it.
But I have been to the Red Rocks website, and that place has just an amazing set of
sure.
history. It's absolutely ridiculous, unbelievable.
when
I
it
think you
comes to
should-
like places that have just since before we've recorded history been
There's
like,
so many. Dude,
that's
the
a
Beatles
performance
played
place.
at Red
Like,
Rocks. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You've
think you should
we've
try
talked about
and
it,
Yeah,
but
we've
not
talked
talk about any Live Nation venues.
Yeah, that's true.
Boycott
Good
them all.
luck.
I do have a on the
64%,
Clash though.
5%.
I learned something about. There's an adjacent story here.
Cool.
Which is that the Beastie Boys. I'm not sure what year it was. It was when they were popping off, right, in the 90s, early 90s. They were flown to London to sign a deal, to sign a record label, to sign with a record label. And while they were there, they got the opportunity to meet Mick Jones from The Clash and Big Audio Dynamite.
Right.
Mick
Oh,
Jones ended up
yeah.
leaving The Clash and started Big Audio Dynamite. And that was actually it was like Big Audio Dynamite kind of, and the Beasties were sort of aligned, right, with their audience and so on and so forth.
Sure.
So they get the chance to meet Mick Jones, and they're so excited because the Beastie Boys were a punk band. I don't know if everybody knows that or not, but they were a punk band, and then the rap thing kind of
Fell into their laps.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. They were they were freaking good at it, but it came alive. The concept started, and they jumped on the train, and they were.
But that's not where they started. They started before
They
that.
were a punk band.
But they were
yeah.
fabulous and amazing and wonderful. But they were a punk band, and they loved the Clash. And so this meeting of Mick Jones was not a joke to them. They were very fired up.
I'm sure.
About it. And not only did they get to meet him, but they met him at his house. So
That's pretty cool.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty
he's
dope.
giving them a tour of their place, of his place, and he takes them down to the basement, which is where the studio is. And they're like, "Hey, let's play Clash City Rockers." And Mick's like, "I don't know. I don't remember how to play it." And they were like, "You're kidding me." So Yonch picked up a freaking guitar and taught Mick Jones how to play it, and they played it.
That's
Nice.
crazy.
And I
That's
thought that
awesome.
was awesome. That would be like one of those moments that.
Oh, heck yeah.
Are you kidding? That you
That'd be
never ever forget.
insane.
By the way, Big Audio Dynamite kicks ass. That band was so freaking
yeah.
good. And Mick
Rush?
Jones,
Rush. Yeah, Rush
the,
is
the,
the song
the
I
whole
know,
record,
but-
The Globe is the name of the
Globe,
record.
yeah.
That is an amazing record. And you talk about samples, and you talk about like cutting edge shit. And then you talk about Mick Jones, who kicked ass in the Clash. It wasn't all strummers. And like Mick was a big piece of what was happening
Yeah.
there. And you add to it the Big Audio Dynamite kind of to his credentials. It's like, oh my God, this guy was like real good.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
just
really,
a
really
little
good.
good.
No,
real
really,
good.
really good.
Two different genres too, really, when
Totally.
you get down to it.
Yeah.
Amazing. And that
Very
record,
different.
honestly, that record, when it came out, I remember when it came out, it was like one of those records where, seventh grade me, like, listened to it, like, nonstop for, like, a whole summer. Like, I was listening to it, like, twice a day for a summer. I think I was listening to it that much.
Yeah, fair enough.
It was so good.
I could see that.
So good.
Yeah.
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 You-
Hey.
Hey. What's
Are you
up?
feeling like you could channel your inner Rolling Stone?
Yes.
I have a new list for everyone today.
Oh, it's not the. it's
We're
not
off the
okay,
records?
good.
Top 50
not-
tambourine players
no.
of all time.
This one was sampled, but I think it's real. That one?
No.
Yeah,
All right.
I
What do we got? What are we doing?
Man, Dad's got some real
I need to make.
grudge actions.
Yeah,
I don't
Dad's-
like not
Dad's-
knowing. Like, are you kidding? I like to.
It's
I like
okay.
to
You
know.
like to win. You like to win.
I like to win.
Hence the
Okay,
competitive
Thankfully,
nature.
we've won the last couple of them. We won Happy Together. We won Beta Band. We won.
No. This is Rolling
won some
Stone.
We're all
stuff.
winners.
This is
we started
Rolling
the
Stone,
podcast
sir.
saying we're a group of winners.
Yeah.
But we've never lost any of these games. I don't know what you're talking
No.
about.
Can you just really quickly give us a points update? I think
Okay,
I'm not
so,
winning anymore, but I want to
real
make
quick.
sure
You were never winning.
that's not true.
No, you're currently tied with Noah.
I was beating everybody 2 weeks ago.
And I'm winning.
And then last week Noah was winning.
Noah got none last week.
And then last week Noah got none. So Noah, Mom are tied at 5. Dad's at 4. This is
so
a
you're
game where
win- no,
I
so
go.
I'm losing.
Yeah, you're losing.
Yeah. Okay.
This is a game where I go and
right.
look at a Rolling Stone list
right.
and write down 5 songs from the 200 best songs of the 80s.
Okay.
Oh.
I got it. Let's go.
200 best songs of the 80s?
All right.
Excellent.
So
That's the
name
list.
Mason's gonna pick
This is gonna be great.
songs from some bracket.
So these 5 songs are all from numbers 100 to 76.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Let's go.
First on the list is Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def
Yeah,
Leppard.
got
Came
it.
out in 87. 2 on the list is Talk Dirty to Me by Poison. Also came out in 87. 3 is I Love Rock and Roll by
Joan
Joan
Jett.
Jett. Came
Wow.
out in 80. 4, Tainted Love by Soft Cell. Came out in 81.
Yep.
And the last but not the least, or maybe it is the least,
Go ahead.
Faith by George Michael, which
Ooh.
also came out in 87.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
You are?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm
quick,
good
Dad.
too.
Okay.
Shit, I'm not
And
ready.
also,
Everybody
can I
go
comment
before
that,
me.
I'm very much appreciating that this list is 80s songs, and therefore I can judge it by its 80s-ness. Like, is this a definitive song of the 80s makes
Yeah.
it go higher up on the list? Not just like, is this a good
Is that
song?
true or not
I
true?
feel like that's got to be part of it, right? In my brain, it does make it like that. There's
Well,
something to
I
it
guess
other
I
than
kind of
just
stuck to that. So I'm going Tainted Love number 1, Faith number 2, I Love Rock and Roll number 3, Pour Some Sugar on Me number 4, Talk Dirty to Me, Poison number
Sick.
5.
That's
Mine-
exact what mine is.
wow, and mine is one variation.
Hold on. So what did you say? You
I have
said
it here. Tainted Love, Faith, I Love Rock and Roll,
okay.
Pour Some Sugar on Me, Talk Dirty to Me.
And that's Mom's too.
That's Mom's also.
I mean, you
mine-
can look at my screen if you don't believe me.
Mine bumps
Okay.
Faith down to number 3, and I Love Rock and Roll is up to number 2, and it's the exact same everything else. So we're
ride
either
or
all
die,
getting
boys and
points or-
girls. Yep, ride or die. We're all together.
Oh goodness.
Okay.
You're gonna have to edit this part.
No, from 1 to 5. You ready? Number 1 was Talk Dirty to Me by
Oh,
Poison.
shit.
Number 76 on the list. 2 was Faith by George Michael. So
We got that.
Mom
You
and
two got
Dad
it.
got that right.
Okay.
3 was Tainted Love, which
Oof.
was 86 on the list.
4.
4 was Pour Some Sugar on
Okay,
Me.
we got that one too.
94 on the list. Everybody got that right. And last was I Love Rock and Roll.
So, Noah, how many points did you get?
Just one. You guys got 2.
So I'm
So
winning.
Mom's
97.
winning. Mom's
You and
winning,
Noah are
and
tied.
Noah and I
Also,
are
for the
tied.
record, my game, each of you get 5 points, and I get 0. So you're all winners in my game.
Thanks, Noah.
yeah.
Okay, so Noah got
Hooligan.
1.
My
Mom and
points
Dad
are the
both got
facts I learned
Cool.
along the way.
So Mom's at 7. Noah and Dad are both at 6.
Wow, it's a tight one.
Yeah.
Tight race.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Mace. I'm excited to find out more 80s tunes.
I love
Yeah.
the 80s tunes.
It's good.
There's a lot of one-hit wonders in the 80s, I feel
I
like.
know. I
wonder if the 80s had more
I'm-
one-hit
I'm
wonders
expecting
than
some
any other
further down.
decade.
Nope.
I wonder which decade had the most one-hit
How about
wonders.
all the songs? You know probably 300 songs that you've heard on social media that are from TikTok that you don't know the name of or the artist of.
Yeah,
Now,
true.
that's a one-hit wonder. That's a 20-second wonder. You know, like
Yeah, I
you know the
guess.
choruses
Yeah.
to 300 songs that you don't know the name of or the artist for.
That's a good point.
I guess.
Maybe.
I mean,
it's
that's
the same,
that's
but
been happening for a while, but I don't mean.
I don't know. I don't mean to be so confident in my answer, but I do feel like that is a very predominant part of today's world. Like there's just like
Yeah, well, now we get back to what's the definition of
a one-hit
one-hit
wonder.
wonder.
Yeah, right. If it's bands that have a song that you'd play at a wedding,
Yeah.
then it's probably bands in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's just there's a band that you know one song of, it's probably more closer to current era. I would bet.
Carly Rae Jepsen.
You know more than well, I don't know if you know more than one tune. But
That's
there are more
not
songs
her.
out there.
No, she's
Call Me Maybe.
yeah.
Oh,
Hey, I
so
just met-
similar
yeah.
though.
Yeah.
I was
I think the
close.
Friday song came out first too.
Yeah, that's Rebecca Black. Thank you very much.
Sorry,
Becky Blizzy.
maybe.
Respect the name.
Pretty good.
Oh
good.
my.
All right.
All right. Well,
I've had a good time.
have you?
I have.
Is
Good,
this the
Mace.
first time you've had a good time doing this?
Yeah.
Really?
No.
What?
Yeah, I'm normally mortified and a shell
Normally
of
I'm at,
myself
like, a
the
3 out
entire
of 10.
time. Now
Today,
I'm good.
6.
Good today. I don't know what happened. Yeah,
You had a good time.
I did have a good time.
Well, that's what's important. I hope everybody's had a good time.
Yeah, me too. Thank you all for listening.
If you had fun,
You won.
that's right.
I hope
right.
you also had a good time, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Well, goodbye from me. They're all going to say stuff now.
Hey. It's me. I just wanted you to know that I still love you, and I really don't know how to express how great it feels to have your attention throughout the entirety of this podcast. If you listen from start to finish, consider yourself one of the rowing crew out here on the lake, because it takes a big old effort to keep this boat afloat, and you're not sinking my bobber. I'm trying to fit too many metaphors.
You're that sinking my bomber.
All right, I'm done. Have a great one. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Man, trying to follow up Hooligan is going to be a difficult situation
Oh, yeah,
for
Hooligan
me.
signing off. Yeah.
Yeah, the hooligan out.
The Hooligan
Is it
out.
the or just Hooligan?
I don't know. It's up to you.
I hope everybody had a good time. I hope that we've entertained you. That's really all we're here for. We'll be back. We'll have more fun things to talk about. And instead of saying goodbye, I'm going to say, until next time.
So long. Farewell.
Hasta luego.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Hey.
Adieu.
Goodbye. Adieu.
Bonsoir.
I'm gonna end
Bon
this.
chance.
I'm gonna end this this week's episode with a little story that I gained from interview that I watched with Jerry.
Jerome Garcia.
Jerry, my boy. Jerry, I couldn't believe what he said in this interview. He said, he's like, I was really pissed off with Phil. I was so pissed, and I'm not. This is not a quote. This is, what
A
do we-
story that was told.
No, it was an interview, but I don't know exactly what he said. But he was talking about how he was pissed at Phil, and that he was so pissed at Phil that he like threw him down a little staircase, which I was like, whoa.
Violent
He's like,
Jerry.
and then he goes, I've never done that before. He's like, I mean, like Phil, I've been like tight with Phil for years. He's like, I was that freaked out and high too. The music was fucked. And then a couple months later, we listened to those tapes and we ended up using them for the album. They were crackling with energy and they were amazing. And that's when I knew. And then he goes, oh, fuck, man.
Sorry, Phil.
That's a story that we can all learn something from. You never know, right? You never know in this life. You could be in the present, in the moment, and you could be feeling like this is really right, and it could be really wrong. And you could be feeling this is really wrong, and it could be really right. And I think everybody should think about that. Thank you for watching our podcast. We will see you next week. We dove. Mason's rolling his eyes. If he's rolling his eyes, I won. But maybe later I'll think I lost. I don't know.
There should be a second part, like we dove so you could.
Float.
We dove so you could float. We dove
Like, oh, he
so you
walked
could
so
swim.
I could run, you know? Or it's like,
Yeah.
we dove so you
We
could.
dove and breathed our bubbles so that you could